It's important that we are familiar with the range of possibilities in terms of reading. How can you move a class forwards in terms of their reading if you're not familiar with children's books? Now, I always get onto Twitter. If I want to know something, there's a great community of enthusiastic teachers as readers out there. So Twitter is a great place to start, but make sure that you link up with good people, positive people, who can give you recommendations for different year groups, perhaps suggest books that children might like. So Twitter's a good place. And of course the Open University Reading for Pleasure project, which runs across the country, that's absolutely essential as well. Many areas, many towns and cities have local Open University meetings where teachers come together to enthuse about books that they want to share with their classes. So use your colleagues. I also always check out the annual awards, things like the Carnegie Medal lists, and use those as a good steer, a good guide. I mentioned lollies earlier for the comedy, a really good guide to what's going on, what's new, what's fresh, that we can get into our classrooms. We started with the reading spine, the essential bank of stories, the core ones that every child must have as part of their reading repertoire. Then we added in page turners, cracking good reads, other options really for classroom reads. The poetry spine as well, central to the work that we do in the English curriculum. And now moving on to the genre packs and thinking about what sorts of books do we need in our classroom for independent reading to get children going. I used to hold a weekly recommendation session. I led the way myself, so it's quite simple. I would choose out a book that I thought the children would enjoy, say something like Gresham Grange, and I would say a little bit about it, but with no spoilers, and then I selected a passage, maybe only 2 or 3 paragraphs long, that I would read to the class, and it had to be a really exciting, edge-of-the-seat passage, the sort of passage which, once heard, everyone's going to say, "Oh, I want to read that one." Now, once I'd modelled that a few times, then I got the children onto a rota, and once a week we'd have 2 or 3 children who were going to do a recommendation. They'd stand up, recommend a book that they'd read, they'd enjoyed. Could be anything, it could be a Pokemon manual, anything that they thought other children would enjoy reading. And the core of it was they had to prepare a read aloud, a short section, maybe only 2 or 3 minutes long, something like that they would read to the class so everybody had a bit of a flavour of what this book was about. Somehow we have to get a buzz going in the classroom about books, whether it be fiction, non-fiction, poetry, other sorts of reading. And the enthusiasm, at the heart of reading for pleasure is the enthusiasm. It's the enthusiasm of the teacher. It's us loving our books. It's having a climate and a culture in school where it's cool to love books. Books are celebrated, they're shared, they're important to the work that we do. So our enthusiasm, and then using the enthusiasm of the children, because we're not on our own. If we've got 30 children in our class, they're all going to have books that they love reading, and we want to set up a system, maybe the once a week recommendation system, where for a few minutes, 2 or 3 children stand up and make a recommendation. The research shows that actually as adults, it's recommendations that lead us to go into WH Smith's or our local bookshop and buy a book. It's a recommendation. You've heard somebody mention it. You've seen it on TV. A friend's read it and mentioned it to you. It's recommendations. We very rarely go in and pick up a book by chance. It's nearly always on the back of having heard about it somewhere else. And we need to capitalise on that and capitalise on children's enthusiasm about reading to get a really good climate going inside our classrooms. If we can get that buzzing in the classroom, then almost the job is done for us, particularly if we've got books in series and we've got plenty of books on the shelves that we know through surveying the children, through involving them in buying books with us, that we know the children are going to want to read and they have some sort of stake in that themselves. So recommendations are going to be important. Increasing our knowledge as teachers, as readers, and then using the enthusiasm of the children as well.